If you cannot answer these 5 questions, you don't know periodic trends. I will teach you 5 most difficult periodic trend questions that confuse everyone. Usually, these questions do not follow periodic trend rules. Let's start with question number 1. Why is it harder to remove an electron from beryllium than from boron? Now this looks strange. Boron is to the right of the beryllium in the periodic table. So according to the general trend, ionization energy should be higher for boron, but it is not. Beryllium has higher ionization energy than boron. And to understand why, you need to look at the electrons carefully. The electronic configuration of beryllium is 1s2, 2s2. The electronic configuration of boron is 1s2, 2s2, 2p1. Now focus on the last electron of each atom. In beryllium, the last electron is sitting in the 2s subshell. In boron, the last electron is sitting in the 2p subshell. Now here is the key point. The 2s subshell is closer to the nucleus than the 2p subshell. Let me repeat it. The 2s subshell is closer to the nucleus than the 2p subshell. Because it is closer, the nucleus pulls it more strongly. This is called the penetration effect. The 2s electron penetrates closer to the nucleus and feels a stronger attraction. So it is very hard to remove an electron. Now look at boron. Its last electron is in the 2p subshell. The 2p subshell is away from the nucleus. On top of that, the 2s electrons are sitting between the nucleus and this 2p electron. They act like a shield. They reduce the pull of the nucleus on the 2p electron. This is called the shielding effect. Because of these two reasons, greater distance and more shielding, the 2p electrons of boron is super easy to remove. Therefore, it is harder to remove an electron from beryllium than from boron. Thus we learn this important lesson: don't always follow the left to right trend blindly. When the subshell changes from S to P, the trend can break. Always check which subshell the last electron is sitting in. Hence noted down this important question. Now that we have understood the first question, let's move to question number 2. Why does nitrogen have higher ionization energy than oxygen? We know that nitrogen is to the left of oxygen. So according to the general trend, oxygen should have higher ionization energy. But it doesn't. Nitrogen has higher ionization energy, and to understand why, you need to open the p orbitals and look inside. The p subshell has 3 orbitals. Nitrogen has 3 electrons in these orbitals. For example, each orbital has exactly 1 electron, 1 in the first, 1 in the second, and 1 in the third. This is called the half-filled configuration. Now look at oxygen. Oxygen has 4 electrons in the same 3p orbitals. 3 orbitals, 4 electrons. Here is the problem. 2 electrons sitting in the same orbital do not like each other. Both have negative charge. Same charge means repulsion. They push each other away. This repulsion makes one of them easy to remove. For example, consider 2 people forced to share one very small chair. Both of them are uncomfortable. Both of them want to leave. That extra electron in oxygen is in exactly this situation. Hence, oxygen easily loses this electron. That's why it has lower ionization energy. Now come back to nitrogen. Every electron in nitrogen has its own orbital. No sharing, no repulsion, no discomfort. The electrons are stable and happy. They do not want to leave. This is called the extra stability of the half-filled configuration. Hence, nitrogen does not easily lose an electron. That's why it has higher ionization energy. Thus, we learn that half-filled subshells are extra stable. The electrons in a half-filled subshell are harder to remove. This is not just true for nitrogen, it is also true for phosphorus. Whenever you see a half-filled p subshell or a half-filled d subshell, expect extra stability. Expect higher ionization energy than the trend suggests. Hence noted down this important question. Now that we have understood the second question, let's move to the question number 3. And this one is the most common exam trap in the entire periodic table. Why does chlorine have more negative electron gain enthalpy? Usually, students think that fluorine is more electronegative, so fluorine will have more electron gain enthalpy. But it is totally wrong. To understand this, you need to look at the size of the atom. Fluorine is an extremely small atom. It is the smallest atom in the halogen group. Its outermost subshell is 2p. This is very small and compact subshell. Fluorine already has 7 electrons sitting in this small space. The electrons are very close to each other. There is already a lot of repulsion between them. Now when fluorine tries to gain one more electron, that new electron has to enter this already crowded 2p subshell. The existing electrons repel it. They do not want a new electron coming in. So the energy released when fluorine gains an electron is less than expected. For example, think of a small room that's already full of people. 7 people are sitting in small room. No one more person tries to enter. Everyone pushes back. There is no space. The newcomer struggles to get in. Now look at the chlorine. Chlorine is bigger. Its outermost subshell is 3p. This subshell has more space. When a new electron enters the 3p subshells of chlorine, there is enough room. There is less repulsion. The upcoming electron is easily adjusted and more energy is released. Hence, chlorine has more electron gain enthalpy than fluorine. Hence, noted down this important question. Now that we have understood the third question, let's move to question number 4. Consider oxygen ion, fluorine ion, sodium ion and magnesium ion. All have 10 electrons. Which one is the smallest? All 4 ions have 10 electrons. Same number of electrons, so students think they should be the same size. But they are not. Their sizes are completely different and the reason is very simple. Size doesn't depend on the number of electrons. Size depends on the balance between the number of protons pulling inward and the number of electrons being pulled. When the number of electrons is the same in all ions, the number of protons becomes the deciding factor. Now count the proton. Oxygen has 8 protons. Fluorine has 9 protons. Sodium has 11 protons. Magnesium has 12 protons. All 4 ions are pulling the same 10 electrons. But the strength of that pull is different for each one. For example, magnesium has 12 protons pulling 10 electrons. That is a very strong pull. The electron cloud is pulled inward very tightly. The size becomes very small. Now look at oxygen. Oxygen has only 8 protons pulling the same 10 electrons. That is a weak pull. The electron cloud spreads outward. The size becomes larger. So the order of size from smallest to largest is magnesium ion, then sodium ion, then fluorine ion, and then oxygen ion. Magnesium ion is the smallest and oxide ion is the largest. Thus we learn that these ions are called isoelectronic species. Same number of electrons, different number of protons. For isoelectronic species, always remember, more protons means smaller size. Less proton means larger size. The proton is the magnet. More magnet pulls harder. The electron cloud shrinks and size decreases. hence noted down this important question. Now that we have understood the fourth question, let us come to the fifth and final question. And this one is about something very unusual. Why is beryllium oxide amphoteric while magnesium oxide is only basic? We know that most metal oxides are basic. For example, magnesium oxide reacts with acids and acts as a base. This is the normal behavior of a metal oxide. But beryllium oxide is different. Beryllium oxide reacts with both acids and bases. This property is called amphoteric behavior, and the reason lies in the size of the beryllium ion. Beryllium is an extremely small atom. When it forms beryllium ion, the positive charge of +2 is concentrated in a very small space. This concentration of charge in a small space is called high charge density. Because of this high charge density, it crosses the boundary between metallic and non-metallic behavior. Now compare this with magnesium. Magnesium is bigger than beryllium. Its charge is spread over a large space. The charge density is lower, so it behaves like a normal metal oxide. It reacts only with acids. It is purely basic. Thus we learn that small size and high charge density can change the chemical behavior of an element completely. Therefore, stop memorizing the periodic table, start understanding them.